Patiala.
Punjab?
Yes.
You are in Patiala. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, shall we start, ma'am? Dear participants, welcome back to the session 3 of day 4. So we have with us Dr. Richa Sharma, Professor, Associate Professor from Punjab University. So now I may request Dr. Adita to welcome our lead speaker for today, Dr. Richa.
We would like to introduce the speaker of the session, Dr. Richa Sharma, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Punjab University, Patiala. She did her graduation in Electronics and Instrumentation in 2003 from MMEC, Maulana Ambala, India. Masters in Electronics, Instrumentation and Control Engineering in 2005. She completed her PhD in Image Processing from Punjab University, Patiala. She has more than 15 years of teaching experience, and to her credit, she had published more than 60 research papers in international and national journals and conferences. She has also guided 30 MTech students, and she has published 9 ebooks. She is a professional member of Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, Institute for Engineering Research and Publication, and International Association of Engineers. She is a coordinator of SWAYAM local chapter of ECE. She is also a coordinator of IETE Student Forum of ECE. She has taken many expert lectures and workshops in reputed institutes. She is also an award winner of Outstanding Faculty in Engineering, WIFA 2017 held at Chennai and she is also an award winner of Adarsh Vidya Saraswati Rashtriya Purashkar 2017. With this short introduction, we would like to welcome the speaker of the session. Ma'am, on behalf of the college, management, principal, HOD, staffs and students of Department of Biotechnology, we welcome you to the session. Ma'am, it's over to you.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Shall I share my screen with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you confirm me my screen is visible?
Ma'am, your screen is visible. Can you please put it on slideshow?
It's in slideshow, ma'am.
For us, yeah, ma'am, now it's fine.
Okay.
Can you move that slide Teams dot is sharing your screen? Hide. Can you press that hide button?
Okay, okay. Is it okay now, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So I am here to give a short talk on roles of Internet of Things in enhancing crop production. So as ma'am has told that I'm Dr. Richa. I'm from Punjabi University, Patiala. There is a little confusion between Punjab University and Punjabi University. So I'm here correcting. I'm from Punjabi University, Patiala. So I'm starting with the brief introduction of IoT, then I'll move to the how we are connecting IoT with the agriculture. Basically, Internet of Things comprises things that have unique identity and are connected to Internet. The focus on IoT is the configuration, control, and networking via Internet of Devices, or we can say things that are traditionally not associated with the Internet, for example, pumps, utility meter, car engines, etc. IoT is a new revolution in the capabilities of the endpoints that are connected to the internet. It is basically anytime, any place, anything. With the use of internet, we can achieve these things. We can use the devices anytime, whether we are moving, we are indoor, outdoor, at night time or daytime. We can use it any place, where whether we are sitting at our PCs, we are in away from our PCs, we are outdoor, or we are walking. And anything means we can connect anything, any device to the internet. We can connect between the PCs, we can connect humans, we can connect human and things, or we can connect things and things. I'm taking one basic example for understanding of IoT. Here I am having the two figures. In figure 1, there are 4 PCs in a room and a single person is there, but he has to operate these 4 um, PCs at a single time. But because of the human person, he have to move for a second PC, third PC, fourth PC manually to control the these PCs, because he is not having the connectivity between the devices. But with the help of IoT, when he created the IoT atmosphere in the lab, he connected the devices. Now he is able to operate the IoT by sitting in the lab on one PC. He can operate all the 3 PCs, or he can control all the lab, or he can control the lab by away from the lab. So this is the use or the requirement that how we can um use IoT when we are away from our workplace. IoT, here we can connect all the devices, anything we can think of, means TV, PCs, AC, light, our mobiles, alarm clocks, cameras, anything we can connect with the IoT. Basically, IoT is a platform where regular devices are connected to the internet so they can interact, collaborate, and exchange data with each other. This diagram shows the connectivity. The best example of IoT is our mobile phone. We are having the GPS tracking, we are having adaptive brightness. The screen is having the adaptive brightness. When we are inside, the brightness of the mobile changes. When we are away from, when we are in sunlight, the brightness of the mobile changes automatically. It is having the voice detection as well. So the best example we are having in our hands these days is the mobile phone. Why we need the internet of things? Because we want to receive more data. We are having the hunger of food. Not these days, we are not hungry for food. We are hungry for the data. We want more data come to us. We want to control more steps. We want to automate the things. We want to make things more faster. So this slide shows the basic components of IoT. Basically, IoT, the main building block of the IoT is the sensors. We are having the sensors. So sensors are the first building block of Internet of Things. Then we are having the local processing, where data acquisition and other processings take place. Then we are having the local storage. Then the after local storage, data goes to the network, where it goes to the internet, then cloud processing, and then to the cloud storage, and from there it is reused by the devices. Then characteristics of IoT. First, it has the unique identifier. Every device is having the unique identifier. The identifier means the device which is I am using, it has a unique identity, unique identifier. It cannot be used by my neighbor or by my fellow peer. It is having the dynamic in nature, means it has the characteristics that it can uh, use naturally. It has the self adaptability. The self adaptability example is, as I have given in the mobiles, we are having the brightness of the screen is controlled automatically, self configured. Sometimes due to some reasons the system get stopped, but it has the capability of self configuring. Sometimes because of power cut or some another reason, the system get down. But when the conditions means after getting the power, or after any type of hurdle, it has the capability of self configuration. Then heterogeneity, then integrated to information network. So these are the basic characteristics of IoT. What are the benefits of IoT? Sufficient resource utilization, It saves time, reduction in human error and efforts, security, user friendly. Key elements of IoT security: authentication means trusted communication. When we are communicating with other device, it should be a trusted. Our data is encrypted and it is decrypted only at the authentic person. Access control: different levels of access permissions means that when we are having a IoT system in a company, the CEO of the company is having the different access permission, as the worker of that company is having the different access permission. So there should be a access control at each level. Then data should be more secure, and known reputation, authentication of sending and receiving data should be there, and availability. What are the main basic problems in IoT security? DOS, that is denial of service. Sometimes we are sending the data, but there is a denial of service, means the system refuses the service. Then there is a distributed denial of service. Then unauthorized access. Sometimes invalid user has that is called intruder, has access of the devices. Then information manipulation, there is information manipulation is mainly occur in biomedical, where the patient's information is misused. Then information disclosure. This is the basic architecture of the IoT. We are having two architectures in IoT. One is 3-layered and second is 5-layer. In 3-layer, we are having 3 layers: application layer, network layer, and precision layer. Precision layer, it is the physical layer which has sensors for sensing and gathering information about the environment. It senses more physical parameters or identifies other smart objects in the environment. The network layer, it is responsible for connecting to the other smart things, network devices, and servers. Its features are also used for transmitting and processing sensor data. Then we are having the application layer. In this layer is responsible for delivering applications specific services to the user. It defines various applications in which IoT can be deployed, like smart homes, smart cities, and smart health. This is the architecture of 5-layered architecture IoT. In this we are having the two extra layers, that is the business layer and middleware layer, that is also called process information layer. Same processing layer, it is also this is called middleware layer. It stores, analyzes, and processes huge amount of data that comes from network layer. It employs many technologies such as database, cloud computing, big data processing modules. And business layer, it manages the whole IoT system, including applications, business, and profit models. Then applications: smart cities, healthcare, education, agriculture, smart home, vehicle industries. But today we are focusing on the agriculture. I'm giving brief examples of these smart cities and smart healthcares. This is the example of smart city, where every part of the city is connecting to the internet, and every home is smart home. Every industry is smart industry, and we are having the good control of the traffic, then waste management. When all these things are implemented in one city, that is called smart city. This is another example of IoT, which is used in the education as well as in the industries for the attendance of the employees and for the students. In this, we are having the enrollment, then we are having the feature extraction. This is comes under the database. Then for verification. Means let's say there are 100 employees in a company, so they are having a database of 100 employees, and input any person comes, it gives its fingerprints, it compares with the database. If his fingerprints matches in the database, then it is called he is the um, authentic person of the company. Otherwise he is refused for entering the company. Then this is the example of smart home. When all the devices of the house are connecting with the IoT, they are having the control of these devices on their mobiles. So this is the example of smart homes. Security camera and door unlock system. This is the one example of smart home in which there is a IoT system in on the entry of the house, that there is a camera which is having the database of these persons. Any one of these person and comes in front of this gate, this door will open. But if any unknown person comes, he see his image in the data set. When he said the image is not matching with the database, he informed the owner that there is an intruder at your gate, and the owner is getting the notification that something wrong is happening in front of my door, so he is getting alert. So this is how the camera security works in smart homes. Then smart homes, I have already given the example in which we are having the smart bedrooms, we are having the smart door locks, we are having security, we are having the smart car parking. So when a house is having such type of applications, light control system, when the person is not in the room, the lights are automatically closed. When the person give the signal on his mobile that I am 5 minutes away from my home, the AC of the house will switched on, and the temperature is set according to the environment. So these are the things which happen under the smart home. I'm giving one example of automation system. This is a small video. I'm playing it. So that was the small video which tells us how the automation works at home. That is the example of smart home. Now I'm taking the example of smart irrigation system. In this, we are having the different sensors which are bedded in the ground of the field. And then we are having here the water pump, and these sensors senses the humidity of the soil, and according to that, the pump will work, whether the soil is dry or that needs water. According to the requirement of the soil, this pump will work. So this is how the smart irrigation takes place. We are discussing this diagram in detail in the next slides. Now we are moving how to enhance crop production using IoT. We are having smart irrigation systems, IoT based plant disease detection, then IoT based fruit disease detection. If we can detect the disease of the plant, or we can detect the disease of the fruit, we can control them, these diseases well on time, and by controlling these diseases we can enhance the crop production. Best IoT applications in agriculture. The first one is precision farming. This approach uses IoT sensing and communication technology to collect information on every aspect of the field ecosystem. For instance, data is collected on the temperature, lighting conditions, soil health, and humidity. Uh, in this we are having two ways. One is the crop monitoring, we can monitor the crop, and second is the crop management. In crop monitoring, agtech means agriculture technology. Agtech companies harnessing IoT technology to view their farm conditions from anywhere around the world. This is the beauty of the IoT. They can check the conditions of the field from anywhere from the world. We can take the opinions from the experts sitting anywhere in the world. Remote crop monitoring allows field staff and the farming companies to detect weeds, pests, and other production risk. When they see the harms of the crop, they can control them. Further, it provides information regarding weather and water stress. It allows them to proactively prevent extensive crop losses. And in case of crop management, precision agriculture also incorporates crop management devices to ensure healthy crop growth. These devices need to be placed in the field to collect accurate data regarding crop, ranging from temperature to leaf water potential. Then livestock monitoring. Farm owners can now utilize IoT devices to detect the real-time health of their livestock. IoT sensors and smart devices can be attached to animals to monitor their health and physical locations. Then smart greenhouses. Environmental factors are crucial to the crop's development. Greenhouse farming enhances the productivity of crops by monitoring and controlling factors such as humidity, temperature, pressure, and light levels. IoT technology eliminates the requirement for manual interventions. It has created a system that can design a smart greenhouse capable of monitoring and automatically controlling the environmental parameters required for the crop's growth. For example, a Wi-Fi signal can direct the sensors to switch on the light, turn on the heater, or open the window. It also provides access to the automatic irrigation facilities. When we are having such type of smart greenhouses, the productivity of the crop increases. Then agriculture drones. IoT applications in agriculture includes unmanned aerial vehicles, UAV, that are called drones, for real-time data capturing and processing. These drones may either be ground-based or aerial-based. The primary function of these drones include assessing crop health, analysis of the type of soil and field, targeting spraying fertilizers and pesticides on crop planting and irrigation. With the help of these drones, we can monitor the whole field and we can control the intruder entry. Sometimes the uh, animals enter the field, and when the farmer is away from his field, the animals enters, but with the help of the drone, they have the access on their mobiles that whenever any intruder enter to their field, they are getting alarm. Then monitoring of climatic conditions. Climate is a crucial factor for farming. Farmers can take preventive measures once they have complete information regarding the weather conditions. This knowledge is made accessible through IoT devices functioning as weather stations. Farmers place these devices in various locations across the field from where they capture data regarding hyperlocal environment and store it on cloud server, so they can monitor the climate conditions with the help of IoT. Then advantages of IoT in farming. It increases efficiency. Farmers can monitor the crops in real time and therefore predict issues and make informed decisions before they occur. Less consumption of water and energy. Sensors across the field help the farmer determine to appropriate resource requirement. When we are having the sensors, they tell us well on time whether the soil is dry or wet, and according to the condition of the soil, the water pump will get switch on. Then reduced operation cost. Utility of IoT generators more profit generate more profit since it leads to less manual intervention due to the automated processes. Then low usage of chemicals. IoT based systems help farmer switch to cost effective and eco friendly farming methods through much reduced consumption of harmful pesticides and fertilizers. We will get better quality of food through the process of mentioned above. Farmers can create the conditions necessary to improve the quality of the crop. Monitoring of farms from anywhere. Farming companies can monitor multiple fields in various locations from any part of the world. So this is the beauty of the IoT, that with the help of IoT we can increase the efficiency, we can reduce the water consumption, we can reduce the usage of chemicals, we can improve the quality of food, and the farming companies can monitor the field from anywhere from the world. Then and this is the block diagram, IoT based automated irrigation system for agriculture. In the previous diagram, I have shown you the scenario of the field, but how it works, I'm showing it in the block diagram. First, which we are having the sensors. That sensors check moisture level and temperature. If according to the experience of the farmer, he fix some value that if the moisture level of the soil increases this value, then start irrigation, if no, then stop. Means this block controls the pump of the field. So when but this value, let's say in technical terms we can say the threshold value is set by the farmer or by the farming companies who are optimizing the value through their experience or through artificial intelligence. So according to that, this threshold value is fixed. If that value means moisture level is low, then the pump starts working. If the moisture is high, then the pump will stop. So this is how the automated irrigation system works in agriculture. Then smart sensors for automatic drip irrigation system for paddy cultivation. Here we are having a number of sensors. What type of sensors we are having? The first one is temperature sensor, then humidity, and then light sensor, then rain sensor. These sensors are used for various type of sensing the elements. Temperature temperature sensor senses the temperature, then humidity of the soil, then how much light required for the plant, then the rain sensor is also there. All output of all these is going to the microcontroller. We are having various type of microcontrollers, but here I'm showing you um microcontroller. Then there is a GSM module, and from there it goes to the smartphone, that irrigation application where we are having the control of all the things. Then it goes to the farmer's mobile, and according to the farmer's decision, the motor will work. When he see that he sees the signal that the humidity is low, the temperature is low, whatever the signal he got from these sensors, according to he take the decision and press the button, and according to that the action will take place in the field. Then IoT based plant disease detection. This is one of the very important block diagram which we are discussing. In this, the disease of the plant is detected, whether what type of disease plant is having. Here we are using the image processing as well. First we are having the IoT device. This is IoT device, and then we collected a large number of plant images, plants with diseases or plants without diseases. A data set is created, then image transmission through RPL. This is through the IoT device. Then here we are having the image processing techniques. One is the pre-processing, then segmentation, then feature extraction, then classifier. Which in pre-processing we are having the median filter, which pre-processes the plant images. Then segmentation, then we extract the feature, then we are having the classifiers. We Here in this diagram, two classifiers are used: SCA, that is sine cosine algorithm, and RIDE neural network. So the features are extracted, and here we are having the database, and when these features are compared here at the sync node, the disease of the plant is detected, whether the sample which we are putting as a input image, that is compared with the data set, where it shows the accuracy, means shows the recognition with any image. According to that the decision is taken that whether the plant is having disease or not. There are some examples to show what I am saying. This is quality detection of fruits by using artificial neural network techniques. First, we are having the sample of fruit, then image acquisition, feature extraction, sorting, and grading. These are some examples of different lemons at different situations at different places. So we are having the 8 figures. Then how it works: start, capture the image of the fruit, any fruit. I'm taking the example of the lemon. Then load the image in the MATLAB. Then feature extraction of the fruit. We are extracting 3 features. One is the color of the fruit, then shape of the fruit, then the size of fruit. We are extracting these three. Sorry, we are extracting these 3 features. Then we train the neural network. means we are having the database of that particular fruit. We train the neural network, then select the testing sample. We are taking one random image of any fruit, then perform the testing by using artificial neural network training module, then artificial neural network based output. What type of output we will get, that I'm showing here. This is the GUI in the MATLAB. Here we are having a training part, then here we are having the testing part, and these are the some buttons which are used for feature extraction, and then training module, then browsing sample for testing, and the performance testing. So we are taking one example. Here we are testing one image, and it will show this type of results: quality of sample as per color, shape, size. It is giving some values. And then we are taking some defective fruit, and more defective means this is um, rotten type. So based on these images, we are creating a table, that in this table we are having number of fruit samples, then color, shape, size, and based on that we are grading the fruit, that best quality, medium quality, poor quality. So if such type of things are used at large scale, the uh, productivity and the quality of the um, crop is increased. So this is the example. Then I am again playing a video, and after that I'm concluding my session.
Digital technology such as the Internet of Things is driving change in agriculture. So, what is the Internet of Things and what does it mean for farmers? The Internet of Things, or IoT, refers to devices or things that are embedded with a sensor so they can measure and transmit data via a network. Devices can mean anything from pumps, sheds, and tractors to weather stations. Essentially, IoT means these physical devices can send and receive information via the internet. On farms, IoT allows devices across a farm to measure all kinds of data remotely and provide this information to the farmer in real time. IoT devices can gather information like soil moisture, chemical application, dam levels, and livestock health, as well as monitor fences, vehicles, and weather. Information generated by IoT devices allows farmers to track farm operations and performance, make better informed decisions to improve farm productivity and yield, and respond more quickly to their conditions, saving time and money. It's putting the data behind the all-important farmer gut instinct, whether that be knowing when to check on water supply to a trough, how much fertilizer to apply to a crop, and which ewe to check during lambing. The Victorian Government is committed to driving the uptake of digital technology, including IoT, in agriculture. To support this, Agriculture Victoria is rolling out a $12 million on-farm Internet of Things trial. The trial is part of the government's plan to increase digital connectivity and usability in regional Victoria. IoT.
So these are the references from where I have taken the data. So thank you. Any queries? Now the session is open for the discussion.
Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful presentation. Ma'am, is there any possibility of this biotech students combined with your field and with your domain, and can we make a combined project?
Yes, surely, ma'am, we can.
In which field you may suggest, ma'am?
I am suggesting in the disease detection. Actually, one of my MTech student worked on disease detection in fruits as well as on the plants. So we can continue that project.
Okay, with the specific to any crops we can design, ma'am. Suppose if it is of like corn or wheat, paddy,
That
sugarcane.
we will discuss when we will start the project actually.
So can we have a batch for the final year students so that pre-final year students so that we can design a sensor for this, ma'am?
Yes, surely we will discuss this thing, and how to continue, we will discuss that.
Yes, sure, ma'am. Thank you. Participants, if you have any queries, you can unmute yourself and you can have a discussion with sir. Ma'am, we have a question in the chat box. Ma'am, it was a very informative session. How affordable is IoT in agriculture and how user friendly is it with respect Indian farmers alone?
Actually, many of the Indian farmers are working with IoT, and I personally know one or two such type of companies which are working with the IoT. One, I think, the resource person you are having with you, Dr. Pushpinder P. They are working with the farmers, and they are enhancing their knowledge, and they are telling them how to use the IoTs that will help to increase their crop productivity. And they are having the small segments which they are using IoTs in actual practice.
Now, one more question. Is there any training programs arranged for the farmers to learn all this techniques to use it, probably in South India?
I'm not directly connected with the such type of training program, but definitely I am having the contact, and I will share with the Dr. Manjunathan. He will discuss with the persons if they are providing any type of training. My direct link is not with them.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, on behalf of the principal, management, HOD, staff, and students of the Department of Biotechnology, as well as the participants of this 1 week STTP program, we extend your heartfelt gratitude and so much thanks for giving such a thought-provoking lecture, ma'am. Once again, on behalf of all of us, we extend you very great thanks for accepting our invitation and giving such a wonderful lecture. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Can I leave now?
Yes, ma'am. Dear participants, please stay back in the session. Now we have session by Dr. Preeta Sharan, Professor, Department of ECE. Now I may request Preeta ma'am.
Yes, yes, ma'am. I am here.
Ma'am, please switch on your video, ma'am. Now I may request Dr. Adita to welcome Preeta ma'am for the session.
We would like to introduce the speaker of the session, Dr. Preeta Sharan. She is a postdoctorate from IIT Kharagpur and a PhD from IIT Banaras Hindu University, and currently a very competent professor with 22 years of experience in education, research, student mentorship, association with international universities and organizations. She is responsible for teaching BTech, MTech, and she has also guided 6 PhD students, and presently 6 are pursuing, and she has executed government international agency funded projects. She is a self-starter with strong entrepreneurial spirit, with built-in R&D center of her own, with a team size of around 15 from scratch. She has delivered projects for prestigious funding agencies across the world, investigator like Naval Research Board, DRDO, IEEE, Government of Karnataka, and AICTE, with multiple patents in process, research publications reaching more than 100. She has also visited facilities of leading universities such as NTU Singapore, Tohoku University, Japan, and University of Macau. And she has published papers in premier journals and presented papers in many conferences in Malaysia, Singapore, Japan. She has also delivered lectures for BTU learning program through satellite for countrywide classroom. She's with a primary focal point and owner for all activities in her college as IEEE student branch counselor and site coordinator, and also associated with the Humanitarian Technology Group. She's been awarded the Women of the Year 1998-2009 by American Biographical Institute. With a short introduction on behalf of college management, principal, HOD, staffs and students, we welcome you to the session, ma'am. It's over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. I will share my PPT now.
विंडो पर चली जाएगी.
Can you see my PPT?
Put it on slideshow, ma'am.
Okay. It came in slideshow?
Yes, ma'am. Can you just minimize that HTTP? Yes, ma'am. That.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Today's topic is for IoT. So I was listening my previous talk. She was from Punjabi University and she was giving in brief about IoT. It means one thing will connect to the other. It means one device will be connected to the other. So I will tell you how. I will just continue that because she was talking about that how one device is talking to other device is talking to other. Actually, it is talking with respect to the sensor data. So I am the one, like we are the one who will provide the sensor data. So I will continue this talk. In this way, I will start my talk. So the topic is smart photonic sensor in agro application. So this is my R&D. Just always I am happy to share whatever work I am doing. So these are the research area where I am contributing, and this why I am showing, because if anyone is interested, they can collaborate. So these are the basic research area where it is interdisciplinary. It's a last one, you can see biophotonic is there, and MEMS devices we are making, and most of the work is related to the, for the medical healthcare. And few awards and all are there, and so many country visited because of this funding. So this also I always talk in during my talk that travel grant is there. 3 months before you have to apply for the travel grant. Many people do not know. That's why people requested me to tell about. You will get the funding for Tier 1 conference. So depend on if you are publishing paper in what type of conference. If at all it is IEEE Tier 1 conference, for that Government of India is very kind enough to give the funding. So I got from various, from the government I got SERB, Science and Engineering Research Board, and UGC, they funded, and the rest are from the WIE, IEEE and NRB, travel grant. These are the patents which I filed. It's old data. Now 15 patent is filed and 1 got approved. So this also is old data. So now 88 are the Scopus Index Journal and 20 SCI Index paper. Fine. So for today's topic, the flow will be like this. What is the photonic sensor and how it is related to IoT? Once again, just I want to recall you that one system or one device will talk to other through the sensor data, and the sensor data will come from the sensor. So I will talk about the sensor, which is having the application in the agro field. Basically, I will talk about the sensor, which will provide the data. And I have taken the case study of the seawater analysis. You may ask that how this will suit with your today's topic as seawater and agriculture. What is the relation? First, I will tell you what is the relation that seawater, when we are talking, we can't ignore sea as our earth is 70% surrounded by the water, first of all. So we can't simply ignore the seawater. You will surprised to know that in Dubai, there most this one is depending on the tourism and the seawater. Each and every part of their life, seawater is there. Starting from the AC, where they are using this seawater, then water cycling. So many places, and not only that. In today's my talk, I will show you technically that how seawater is also applicable, for the agriculture. This I want to focus on that. So this is one of my PhD student work where he was doing PhD from Amet University. It's a maritime university from the Chennai, Indian maritime. So there in that university, people are mostly working on the seawater, and they are the marine engineering, where they will talk about the underwater animals, underwater water application, and related to the ocean and the sea. So the topic is design of photonic sensor for seawater analysis and lab on chip. So what is the meaning of this lab on chip? So lab means you can say pathology lab, or you can say forensic lab. If you want to give blood sample, where you will give? You will go to the pathology lab. So now we are designing a chip where total pathology lab, what it is doing, it will do blood test, urine test, what are the other testing, cancer detection test, all the tests. Now it will be possible in future on a single chip, and that chip will be standalone, and this chip we should have with us. So we can imagine the time when it will come where, no, if you are having any doubt about yourself that okay, I am suffering from jaundice or not, it will be specific to that particular disease. If you will talk in terms of biosensor, where my other research students are working on the biosensor. We already designed 2-3 chip, and it got accepted also from the IISc Indian Institute of Science Sense Lab. Now we are waiting, we are in the queue for the fabrication. And this water analysis also, suppose our planning is, I will show you, which we have developed in our lab. If you have doubt that this water is having impurity, that how to decide immediately, no need to go to the forensic lab and give the water sample, and then report will come. So this process can be will be very shortcut if you have the chip. So this word is very popular nowadays in the photonic industry, lab on chip. Lab on chip means the total lab we are talking about, it will come on the chip. So this is very new terminology. And how it will work, you can see sensing action will be there. So various researchers, we all are contributing towards the sensing mechanism, and then processing, signal processing, and finally display will come. So we are not giving attention on this part, but just to show the prototype, I have developed one which I will show you. These are the objective. Basic block diagram will be optical sensor will be there. Now what we are doing actually PC based sensor, because actual sensors should be designed, fabricated. Recent news you have listened that India agreed, and in India till now no fab lab was there till now, but now with this government we have got a huge amount of infrastructure has spent by the government, and we are happy to say that in India also we will have the fab lab very soon. Otherwise, for 50 paisa IC 741, our electronics engineering student, they know IC, so they are doing the in the lab. You can surprise, and you will surprise to know that one IC which cost 50 paisa, that also we are importing from the Taiwan. Hello? Again I have to share, na? Hello ma'am, it's not share now. Hello?
Ma'am, your screen is visible.
But it is there? Now it's okay? It's there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now time being, I'm showing you the PC based sensor, but this PC based sensor will be replaced by the actual sensor if Fab Lab will come. So this is the methodology, because I'm talking about a design parameter. So we have to give the design. So till now in India, what we are doing, researcher, what they are doing in VLSI, how we are doing, we are designing, we are giving the simulation result and we are sending to Taiwan. And from the Taiwan, in bulk actually they are sending the IC. So each IC cost is 50 paisa or 1 rupees or 2 rupees because of the bulk production. Same line of action we are also following photonic industry. Just because VLSI is the mature technology and photonic is the upcoming field. So same I am also following. You can see that. First what we will do the modeling, and then we will do the design, okay, and then we will do the simulation. Same as VLSI people are doing for fabrication of the semiconductor chip. But our chip will be photonic chip, and application will be biosensor or for the water analysis sensor. So these are the, I'm not going in more technicality, because I hope more people are not from the EC background. But the thing is, whatever background, but we, how to design a sensor, first we have to do modeling, then we will do the design, and all the things are possible with the help of the software. And here I am showing the display part also. Display part, for that we have to do the machine learning, which we have done in one of the project, so which I will show you, and interface. So it will be this is the total heart of the sensor. If we have to say any sensor, anyone will be designed, so we have to follow certain rules. These are the rules. We have to model it, we have to design it, and then we have to do the simulation, and then we have to do the interfacing for the display, and this will be the complete part. And so one sensor which I will talk about, that is the photonic crystal based sensor. So photonic crystal also I will not go in depth, only I will say photonic crystal is a sensor which is a periodically varying sensor. When I am calling periodically varying, so what is the meaning of periodically varying? I will show you. This is called periodically varying. You can see there is a red color and blue color. So refractive index of this rod, suppose it's a glass rod, so it is 1.5, and if in between two rod there is air, it means refractive index is 1, then 1.5, 1, 1.51. So this is the definition of the photonic crystal. It is a periodically varying refractive index. So what we are doing, design engineers, by using the Ubuntu software, so what we are doing, we are creating the line defect. You can see that we have created the line defect. It means it acts as a waveguide. Okay, it acts as a waveguide means it will create a place where you can put one drop of water, okay, or one drop of any liquid which you want to test it. Fine, you can see that. So this is what is called line defect, and this is called point defect. So basically what we are doing, if we want to find out E. coli bacteria in a water, then what we will do, purposefully, what is the dimension of the E. coli bacteria, that particular dimension we will create here, we will design in such a way, this rod diameter will be same to same as that of the E. coli bacteria. Then we will allow light to pass, and in the other end we will get the signature. So this is the basic mechanism how we are designing it. And for this we are see, this is the structure. You can see that this is the output of the operating system Ubuntu we are using, and writing the code for this, and we will allow the light to pass, and blue color, you can see that electric and magnetic field. So everyone know that light is a electromagnetic wave. So this is the propagation of light. So this is the output, so there will be interaction with the E. coli bacteria along with the light, and we will get a signature graph of the E. coli bacteria. So when unknown bacteria are present, we will match that. If it is matching, then we can say that yes, presence of E. coli bacteria is confirmed. This is the way we are working. And this is the line defect. So basic two defect I am showing you. This is the way we are doing defect engineering. Suppose if you want to put any blood sample for the diabetic patient, so we will take that and we will put it here and we will allow light to pass. So in general, I am showing now what is the basic heart of the sensor, how we are doing, how we are using the photonic crystal as a sensing application. Then I will come to the application of the water analysis, which is for the today's topic in agro field. Okay, so this is the flow chart of the simulation. Now this is the flow. As the sensor I told, we will take a light source because photonic means only flow of the photons. Flow of the photons means it's like electronics means flow of the electrons, means current conduction will take place in the external circuit. In the same way, when we will talk about photonics, it means we are talking about flow of the light. So current, in place of current, light will take place for the conduction. These are the mathematical justification. See, it's very simple to understand. Any background people can understand this equation. It's very simple. You keep changing epsilon, then the omega will change. Omega means 2 pi f, frequency will change. It means epsilon means any medium is known by epsilon. Now me and you both are in air medium. So epsilon value is 1. Dielectric constant is 1. Under root epsilon is equal to n, refractive index. So what we are doing, we are using this property and using this as a sensor. You keep changing it. Suppose if we both are sitting in water, so our epsilon value will be changed. You know that for refractive index for water is 1.33. So it means the moment you will change from air to water, there is a change in the output. This is the output. So by this we can say that there is a change in the frequency shift and it acts as a sensor. This is the basic master equation which will justify our logic. Because we are the simulation people, so we have very strong reason to justify our work. This is actually when we are not doing defect engineering, you can see that this is the stop band. It means light is not passing at all. It means current conduction is not possible. We all know that if this is the pass band, this is the pass band. Pass band is there, it means that light is passing. So it means that we should do the defect engineering. Defect engineering nothing but creating the holes or line defect, which I have shown you. These are the different sensor. Some people are working in photonic crystal sensor, which I have shown you. Some people are working in surface plasmonic sensor. So this is the basic thing. In this basic principle, just I am telling two lines. What is the basic principle is, wherever you do the interfacing of metal and dielectric, you take a metal layer and take a dielectric layer, and you will surprise to know that metal we are taking gold layer, the thickness will be in micrometer. You can't say that gold is very costly material, but you see the thickness, how much we are taking, micrometer. In scale, first value is 1 millimeter. We are talking about micrometer, one small, one very thin layer, and then metal and dielectric, silica you can take, and interface, you allow light to pass. Then their electrons will oscillate. Those electrons are known as plasmons. These plasmons we are utilizing for the sensing mechanism. So this will come under the SPR technology. So these are the you see this we have developed actually, and we got very good appreciation for this. This work we did for the HIV positive and negative, and from US we got call also for this with the travel grant funding, but we were not able to go because of Corona. So here what we have done, unknown blood sample came. We have given 2 compartments. by using this SPR. If it is going in A, it means HIV positive, and if it is going in B, it means HIV negative. So simultaneously measurement we can do, which will be label free, and that too by sitting at home. So this is what our imagination is to do this. Imagination I am telling because till now fabrication part is pending, which is not in our hand, because in India Fab Lab is not there for research purpose. In whole India, only one place, Indian Institute of Science, where there is a big queue for that to do the fabrication. To use one day that lab, it is very difficult, because it is Fab Lab means you have to maintain the lot of things. You have to maintain the atmospheric pressure, temperature, and then it should be dust free, clean room availability. To use that Fab Lab, one day it will minimum 6,000-7,000 it is charged for that. So this is the problem, for because of not having the Fab Lab. Our we are only doing the design part, and we are sending, and outside many country are ready. I contacted Rochester University, I contacted Belgium University, Ghent University. They all are agreeing now. So we are looking for the funding, because as you know that Government of India funding is not for the abroad. So now we have done this work I did in 2014, and always I am showing this 13. I went to Japan, to Hokuto University. So what happened that time, tsunami came in Sendai. So I went to Sendai there, and they told that anyone because their drinking water system was fully collapsed. So they told you can publish the paper here, and you can put, and funding is also there, whoever. So they have taken the idea in this way, and IEEE has taken the initiative, and we have sent this paper, and it was accepted. I presented there by going to Japan. Okay, so what actually we have find out that what was the work in this, in water. That time it was very new work. Photonic crystal was not so popular that time. So 5x5 matrix I took. Okay, and these are the 19 components which all possibility I have taken, which may present in the water if the water system is collapsed, which was the theme for the conference. And these are the possibility. It may so happen in water. Arsenic components are there, zinc components are there, cadmium components are there. So these are the components. Now what we have done, we have find out that what is the dielectric constant of these values, and our sensor will able to detect it. 19 component we have detected. This is the result. Just see that. So this, so we can say that that Javana I did this. Now with time passes, now I can show the display also. That Javana I have not shown the display. Only the graphical representation was only accepted, and I got lot of popularity because of this work, because I was able to detect it at least. So you can see that transmission spectrum for lead component. Okay, so an arsenic component, you can see each component one spectrum I have shown. So wherever it is matching, unknown water sample will come, and if it will match with the blue color, we can say that it is the arsenic fluoride. If it will match with the green color, we can say that it is the galenium arsenide. So in depth actually we have done this study, and which was very much appreciated by the international community. So these are the transmission spectrum for the mercury compound. Okay. So these are the transmission spectrum from the cadmium. Fine. Now coming to the agro field, detection of brightness of water. Brightness means salinity. What happened? Actually, how I got this idea. So I was working in the, I was just doing the literature survey. So I found that there was a paper which was telling that what to do with the seawater, whether it is we should throw it, it has got no use at all. I found it was written that seawater can be utilized for various applications. So 2-3 applications I took. One application was tomato yield. It was written that if you can able to find out the percentage salinity of the sea water, then you can utilize it. So how much percentage salinity is required for the saline water? It was telling how much, and for medical, for the animal husbandry, it means for animal, if you will give the saline water for that much percentage salinity, then milk production will be more. Then it was in the medicine, medical industry, for making the medicine. See, it means sea water, just a word sea water, but it has got, I have done the research in this, it has got the salinity 0.1% to the 33%. So our this sensor will be this conference is Tier 1 conference, GHTC, Global Humanitarian Technology Conference, which I presented in Kerala. So in this conference, the topic was the seawater. So what was the what we have developed here? We have developed a sensor. You can see that where there is a line defect, and total size is micrometer. How much micrometer? You can count how many balls are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 15 micrometer. Still it is less than 1 millimeter. And 1 millimeter, again I will remind you, in scale first value is 1 millimeter. So you can imagine the size of the sensor is so small, such a small. So now this Jamana is for the small and compact. Okay, so only this will come in, this will be, once it will launch in the market, it will have lot of scope, lot of future. After packaging, it will the dimension will be of the order of the millimeter. Okay, but now we are not working towards how to do the packaging and all. Only we are working towards the optimization and getting the higher Q factor and getting the higher sensitivity, so that it should be fabricated. So we are in full tension of doing that only. How it will be fabricated? It should have the high efficiency, how output power, and how quality factor and high sensitivity. So for that, we all researchers are contributing towards that. So these are the design parameter we have taken. You can see all the dimension are in the micrometer, means very small. These are the, you see, salinity of the water. So what actually was there in that literature survey? Up to 11% of the salinity are useful for the various applications. After 11%, it is having no use. And if it is in 33%, so in Kerala, backwater are there where tourism industry they are using for the boating and other, water body. So that application you can do, but for consumption purpose, or for the either for the animal purpose or for the agriculture, you cannot use that seawater. So it is very important to know what is the percentage salinity. So our effort is, we have done, my second PhD student, his work was totally based on the seawater analysis, as he was doing for the Indian Maritime University. So we have got this all graph and all, not so much I am showing you. You can see that. So this is the percentage salinity versus the effective refractive index. So we got the percentage, how much is 15% salinity, how much is the refractive index, we can predict that. And how much is the refractive index that we got from the literature survey. Okay, seawater percentage salinity related to the refractive index. And you see now 0.01%, okay, the color is there, blue, 0.01%, which is very much useful for the drinking purpose, up to 0.1%. Above that is not useful for the drinking purpose. It can be utilized for the other applications. So all other agriculture also, which crop it is. So all the things are listed. But our research was it means salinity percentage is 0.75%. Okay, so we have taken the water sample and unknown water sample, and we have put in our line defect, which I was showing you, waveguide, and we got the percentage salinity. And after this is the thing which is we have to send. This is in the Python background we have developed this. So you have the two port, input port and output port, how it will look, how your device will look. it will look like this after fabrication, which is known as GDS tool, which we are doing in VLSI industry also. This only we are sending to Taiwan now for the IC 74155 timer IC, whatever the IC are available in the lab, same line of action we are also doing. And here will be the port one input port and output port, and here you can put your sample, whatever you want to detect it. These are the detection. Now you see, salinity water we have used. This also work published in Scopus for tomato yield. So we have find out in case of saline and non-saline water in application of tomato yield by the photonic sensor. So now actually what is the current infrastructure we are using? That is known as digital salinity meter, and it is sometimes giving the wrong diagnose. Exact salinity they are not giving, because it will go under various process, whereas our sensor is label free technique. Label free technique means we are not using it with any chemical reagent. Direct water sample we will put, and we will get to know the output. These are the design parameter. You can see that this is our design sensor which we have designed in our software. This is the open source. It is a free software. Anybody can design this sensor. Yeah, you can see. Such a confinement of light, it is very important, because total size is in micrometer. Suppose if you will light, see, not a single drop of light is going outside. This, if we will show this, then our result is such a nice. Any foreign university will ready to take and fabricate this. We are working basically design is the heart of the sensor. If we will design the sensor, fabrication is the low end work, anybody can do. But to do this optimization, lot of iteration is has to be taken place. So we have taken care of all those things, and finally we got this. So it means that now we will put our saline water, and we can able to find out what is the percentage salinity. This is the one special structure. So you can see saline water for the tomato yield. For the normal temperature, 22 degrees Celsius, then 26 degrees Celsius, and 30 degrees Celsius. Why we have taken these three temperature? Because of agriculture area, from the fresh water versus the saline water. So you can see red color is the fresh water, and saline water is the blue color. So it was the known fact was that in tomato yield you have to use that particular percentage of salinity. What percentage salinity I have not noted down now. I am not want to go in detail of that. Just I am telling that. So how to find out at what at this room temperature what will be salinity. So if you are by mistake, if you are giving the fresh water, you will get our sensor will tell here you can see that, and 26 degree temperature, there is a remarkable difference between the saline water and the fresh water. So if you want to stop the fresh water and give the saline water which is required for the tomato yield, then you should allow this. Okay, so our sensor will able to detect it and bifurcate between the fresh water and between the saline water, which is required for the application of the tomato yield at three different temperature we have taken. This we have done by taking the values, and you see the Q factor such a high. The moment any fabricator will come to know the Q factor again I am not going into detail, just I am telling you because I have to cope up with the time. So if Q factor is high, it means your design is very perfect. As you have seen that not a single drop of light was going outside. It was confined within the waveguide. That is the reason we got very high Q factor, and this design is very confirm and very good for the fabricator. So fabrication part can be done, and each IC cost will be very less, because in a single wafer they will design it. So the cost, like I told, 555 timer IC and all, 50 paisa or 1 rupees is the cost because of bulk production. These are the we are ready with the layout also. Only we are waiting for the tab lab. Then in next work we have find out the detection of magnesium in the seawater. Again, one of the literature survey, they told that some of the crop, they want the percentage of magnesium should be, when we are talking about the sea water, it consists of many components. Not only NaCl is there, it's a magnesium is there and other chemical compound are also present. So if you want to detect some of the applications, some of the agro application, they're asking that magnesium water only we should use for this. Then what we should do and which structure we should take. So we have designed the 3 type of structure, which is shown here. You can see that these are the 3 type of structure. And you can see that this is called double ring resonator. 3:30 is my time. You can see that these are the, you can see here so neatly light is confined. It means that if you will put the saline water, there will be interaction between this light and the water, and you will get the signature at the other end, and you can able to detect that magnesium is present in the seawater or not. Okay, just I will go through very quickly. So much we have done. This is the display part, which I will show you, where we have used machine learning. Machine learning, when we will talk, just I will give the 2-line introduction about machine learning. If at all we want to bifurcate, suppose if it is sea water or if it is saline water, then this we have done for the water. TDS we have find out in water how much is the TDS percentage. So TDS we can able to find out for the drinking purpose and for the agriculture. In some of the agro application they want to know the TDS. So this is also one of the structure. Optimization has not done very good, but yes, light is confined. Confinement is there. So these are the percentage salinity which we can able to detect. You can see the ppm. So these are the part per million of the TDS present in the water potability. So now what we have done, we have used the machine learning. This is the algorithm. In the machine learning, you can see that it means our sensor data. I have given input to this Raspberry Pi, and you enter the value, okay, and then it will tell that you see now 2000 ppm. It means the moment you are giving the water, it can predict that how much ppm is there, and they have written that it's a high value, TDS is observed. So how much value of TDS, like this it will complete, your sensor will complete. So right from the sensor simulation data and ending I have done on the display part. It is just a proof of concept, but actually it will not be like this. Everything will be inbuilt. But now for just telling you, for convincing you that how our sensor will work, and this data will communicate it to other, so that one device will talk with the other. So IoT will come into picture with the help of the Raspberry Pi. Okay, this is the answer. See now, next time when we have changed it, it has, now it is showing that 1000 ppm. You can see that. So that's all about my talk, and very quickly I will just take the last, which is the chemical sensor. So we have started different structure. This we have done in different software, which is the license version software. So these are designed. Here we can able to find out in water if kerosene, if some chemicals are present, which is not at all useful for any of the purpose. But sometimes we want to know that whether kerosene is present or heptane is present or cottonseed oil, methanol. So mix. So we can able to find out. You can see that separate graph is there, and wherever it is matching, again we can say yes, kerosene is there, cottonseed oil is there. So all these chemicals also we can able to find out with our design sensor. So design part, we are very happy, and lot of patents are filed and one patent approved. This is the sanctioned patent. After 7 years, it got sanctioned, and now we are in the process of with the company so that it can be fabricated, because our design patents are there. So it should be fabricated with the very larger scale. Thank you very much for being. I hope within time I have finished my talk. very much. Now I'm open for the question and answer session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Dear participants, if you have any queries, please post it in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and have a discussion with ma'am.
Okay. I think it was little different.
Thank you so much, ma'am, on behalf of the principal, HOD, staff, students, as well as the participants of this STPP. We thank you for this wonderful session, ma'am. Thank you once again on behalf of all of us. Thank you on behalf of all of us once again, ma'am. And if we get any queries, we will share it to your mail ID, ma'am. Offline, we will reach. Ma'am, also please post your mail ID so they can get back to you also if they have any queries in the chat box.
Thank you. I will write.